right? The villain. If you're talking about like a regular story with regular people, the antagonist is just the person that they're struggling with, right? So if it's a story about a brother and a sister who are fighting a lot, right? They would be each other's antagonists, okay? So let's come up with a story. Let's come up with a Spider-Man story, okay? So the main character, Spider-Man, Peter Parker, all right? Let's come up with an antagonist. Can somebody tell me a Spider-Man villain?
Venom?
Venom, okay. So, in this story, Peter Parker is hanging out with his friend Flash Thompson, okay?
That's like his bully.
What's that?
That's his bully.
Yeah, used to.
Where is that? Where is that? Did he tell me that? Where is he a bully to Peter Parker?
In part one.
In the
Yeah, he's a bully.
in the movies?
Yeah.
Yeah. Later on, they become friends. You know, I've been reading comics since I was your age, so I know a lot of the history of that. So, hold on, stay with me, guys. So, okay, so Flash Thompson, all right. So at this point, they're friends, okay, and Flash says goodbye. He says, I'm going home. What they didn't know is that Venom was watching them. Venom decides to kidnap Flash Thompson. Okay. Somebody wants Flash Thompson to get kidnapped. Okay. So that's the problem, right? You guys see that? The problem is that Flash Thompson gets kidnapped. So that's the problem in the story. Okay. The next thing that happens is the main character comes up with a plan. Right? Why do they need a plan?
To save Flash Thompson.
In this story, right? That would be the plan that Peter Parker would come up with as Spider-Man. Okay? So the plan is for the main character to solve the problem. Right? So we got a main character, we got a antagonist, and we got a problem. So then the hero comes up with a plan. Solve the problem. Okay? So Peter Parker puts on his costume, goes after them, okay? Finds that Venom is in a warehouse, all right? He's on the top floor, and he's on the top floor, and he decides he's got to go in and save Flash Thompson. So what does he do? Let's see what you guys come up with something. What does he do? Yes.
He uses his web thing to go up to the top building.
Right? Okay. Swings up or whatever. All right. And then what? Yeah.
He shoots Venom in the eye with his webbing to like blind him for a little.
Well, they're inside, so we got it. So first we're on the outside. So what next? Before we get to that, maybe that point. Somebody else. Yeah.
Well, I guess he opens the window. Oh, he opens the window on the top floor.
Okay, but if he opens the window, then Venom is going to see him.
Quietly.
What's that?
Quietly, I guess.
He opens it quietly, but he still will see him. That's what the way it's set up, right? If he opens the window, he'll see him, and he's afraid he's going to hurt Flash Thompson. So what else could happen? Okay.
Yeah, he goes in the air vent. He opens the air vent.
And
He goes inside the air vent, and that gets Venom.
keep going. So he goes in the air vent. What next? He
He
hangs out and watches television?
Yeah.
No.
But he's able to see Venom because when he goes in the air vent, it has like holes.
Okay, so he looks through like the grating or like the holes in the air vent and he sees Venom. So what's he doing? He's sneaking up on him.
Spying on him.
He's spying on him, right? So he waits and he waits until Venom walks away far enough from Flash Thompson that he can come down, grab Flash, and then he has to pop Venom in the head, right? So that he fights him a little bit and he wins, okay?
But what about my thing?
Stories, that's our story, okay? And so he defeats him. In every story, your main character kind of learns something about themselves, they usually have to do something different that they haven't thought of, that they haven't done before, or that is something that they haven't thought of in a long time, maybe, whatever. But it's a realization, okay? When I teach writing, we call that a revelation, right? A revelation. It means something is revealed to the main character. What did Spider-Man, what did Peter Parker learn in this? What's something he may have learned that he has to do in a situation like this? Because he had to think, right? What's your name?
Joshua.
What's that?
Joshua.
So Joshua came up with the air vent plan, right? So you were Peter Parker in that sense, and you came up with something like that. So what does he have to be? What is something about him? What does he learn about himself that he has to do in these situations? Anybody? Anybody else? I know you guys have answered a lot. Anybody else? Yeah.
So he sort of has to like really think, but think about what's actually intelligent and going to work and what's not.
Okay. So one of the first things he has to do is be smart, right? He can't just be a dumb guy and go smash through the window and be like, "So I'm here." Oh no, you just killed Flash Thompson. Okay. So he has to be smart. What else does he have to do? What else does he have to think about? We kind of said it already. Go ahead. You guys
Can walk Flash Thompson home?
Well, that's something he can do later, but we're talking about what does he have to realize about himself?
He has to think about other people and what's going to happen to them. And yeah.
Right. He has to think about people's safety.
Because if there's bad guys running around, then you have to make sure everybody's okay.
You have to make sure everybody's okay. You have to make sure people are safe. So he had to not just go in and just forget about whether anybody was in danger. He had to think about what was going to happen. So he has to think about safety. If anybody knows Spider-Man's origin story, okay, right? If you know his origin story, he learned a very hard lesson about not caring about people, okay? So, all right. Any questions? Any questions? Yes.
Are we making a superhero comment?
No, we don't have time. This is just we were kind of a short day today. So I guess that's it. All right. Where's Valeska?
Maybe a short,
No, we'd be here
one-panel
for
comment.
That's an hour.
a one-panel comment. Universal comment?
We don't have drawings and stuff. Let me ask. I'll tell you this. For about 6 years, I worked at DC Comics. And does anybody know what DC Comics publishes? What comics? What comics?
Superhero comment.
What kind of superheroes? Do you remember which? You know which they have and which are more?
I think like Superman and Batman and
Say it.
Wonder Woman.
Yes. I saw you like this. Superman, Batman, and Wonder. Good. All right. So that's what they publish.
Why do they got pencils?
Oh, I don't know. Did they give you pencils and paper?
To draw in your little books that you have.
Oh yeah. That's for you to take home. Yeah.
Yes, those are yours.
That's for you to take home. So I worked in the comic book. I worked as an editor. Does anybody know what an editor does?
Oh, this is your thing, right?
Yeah.
It edits things that people have already done. It
Edits them. So it takes things that people have done. What do you mean done?
they've drawn and then maybe they perfect it or they
Right.
painted it and they add color.
Right. Well, it's less about art than it's about what? What were you gonna say? I'm sorry. What's?
Oh, it's more about like what they wrote and they go through it and make sure there's no mistakes and they correct it all.
Very good. That's what an editor does. But you were right because you were thinking about comics. So as a comics editor, you have to be an editor, like a book editor, and an art director, like that deals with artwork. So you were saying like drawings and taking care. So you actually do both. Okay? Yes.
So editing?
Yeah, and I'm also, I just wanted to, if you guys had any questions about what I did, go ahead.
Editing,
Shh, shh, guys, listen up.
it's all about the pieces about the writing, and then it makes things about the mistakes, like if there's any mistakes, like fix it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Right, that's it. Okay, so, all right, does anybody have any questions about making comics? Yeah.
In your 6 years, what was your favorite comic that's edited?
I brought one of the books that I edited. You know, I did a little bit of work on superhero comics, but my division, we did something really different. So we did these books called the Big Books, right? Notice they're black and white, they're not color, and if you can see, every story is by a different artist. All right? What do you think all the stories in this book are about? Hoaxes. What's a hoax?
Maybe something that's like faked and attempted, like faked and it's not a real. Like a lot of times people attempt to fake like a ghost or
Yes, that's a good example.
supernatural
Right.
something.
Right. Ooh, I have a haunted house here. Oh, everybody come and take pictures of me and put me in the paper, and there's no ghost. Right? That's a hoax. All right. So this book is all about famous hoaxes. Okay. So we got all different artists. First, we got a writer to write the story. We actually had a couple of writers, and they wrote 50 different stories, short. And then we got 50 different artists to draw it. Okay. So I had to take care of editing the stories, right? Making sure they made sense and there wasn't mistakes. We had to make sure that the art made sense in terms of reading. Remember the question about how you read a comic? Remember it said left to right and top to bottom, right? That's something we had to constantly make sure. Because if you guys can see, there's lots of balloons and captions, right? Yeah. There's lots of words. Right? So you had to make sure that it reads well, okay? Yeah, go ahead.
Well, in book like the Legend of Zelda books, it's sort of backwards. The ones that are from Japan, you can
Yes.
start from the back, and then it sort of
When
goes from the back.
it is the reverse. When that question came up, we were talking, and both were kind of like, all right, well you said actually, you were like, no. And that's exactly right. When you get what are comics from Japan called? Manga, right? So when you read a manga book, it's not like this, it's like this. And you have to learn to read it in a different way. Good, good, all right. 2 more questions.
What materials do you need?
Say that again.
What materials do you have in the comic book?
You mean, explain more. What are you asking about specifically?
What materials do you have to use in the comic book?
Well, the writer usually needs a computer so that they can write the story, and then they send it to the editor, and then the artist will get large pieces of paper they call Bristol board. It's a very heavy type of paper, thick, so that it holds the ink, and then the artist will draw on that, and then the artist will finish the art, send that in, and then it goes to the colorist, and they color it on the computer. They scan it in, and they color it on the computer. Some artists are now doing all the work on computer, right? Did you ever see someone with a tablet? Anybody know where they see someone write on a tablet and it shows up on the screen? That's where they do it. Okay. Yes.
Have you ever wrote and edited and computers for your own comic book?
I have done it way back in the day. I draw, but I haven't drawn as a professional. So I have been a writer and an editor. So as an yeah. All right. One more question. One more question.
I played a game. It was Halo. It was Halo 4. I do have Halo Reach, but we do still play it. We beated the game, but we didn't beat the last level.
Yeah. So you're a Halo fan, huh? That's why you said Master Chief. Yeah. You know something? I don't play a lot of video games. Yeah, it's like my friends. That's what my friends do. They're like, how do you live? So
But video games
I
have
have to
stories
catch up
too,
and
right?
learn sometimes.
Video games have stories too, much like comic books.
Yes, well now more and more video games are really story oriented. So there's a lot of interesting stuff happening in the video game world. Okay, so I guess that's it, guys. All right. So thank you very much for your time and attention. You guys, you were very fun.
Thank you, Jim, especially for coming. And also, you guys, those bags are yours. I had the questions coming up, but that's for you to keep. So that is definitely yours. We're also going to do a recap of what we learned today. I will send it to your parents, and whoever scores in the top two will get these 2 freebies. Whoever scores in the top 2, it's a Batman and Spider-Man. And so, not today. And it's just as a way, again, it's all about what you're learning and recalling and retention. The 3 main arts. Take care. Thank you for coming. And also you can look around. For any future comic book writer who likes anything in the store, today is 20% off as well. So if you see anything, let me know. Huh? Yes, we're all done. Give it to your mom.